Welcome to episode 3 of The Bad Filipino. I am your host, Myki Angeline. My guest today, Knipp. Not only is she a dear friend, she is an award-winning blues artist, Billboard Chart Topper, multi-instrumentalist, music instructor, volunteer and advocate. And today, she is throwing the gloves off and giving a no-holds-barred interview. And I guarantee it will be stuff of legend. So stay tuned. Hey girl, hey. Oh, Lord, how are you?
Exhausted from the world.
I bet. You do all the things, like all the things.
But that's fine. That keeps me pumped. It's the whole like world stuff. Well, our country, that's exhausting me emotionally. I'm trying to be like Zen all the time. I'm trying to meditate on, gratitude and law of attraction and, don't get too angry. But I'm so effing mad. And I'm trying to, I'm going to try not to curse because my kids might hear me, and so.
You know what? That's absolutely your call. However you want this to be PG, G-rated, because you said you were going to serve all the tea, so I'm trying to figure out.
No, I'm just saying I'll blast over an F-bomb if it comes out.
Oh, that's hilarious. That would be great. Oh my gosh. And those of you who are listening and watching, please jump in the chat room if you have any questions or any compliments or any questions for myself or Katie. Because Katie, okay, you've got me. You have been promoting this like you're just going to go, yeah! And I'm like this much a little freaked out and probably this much aroused. And I'm like, what is Katie going to say? Because anytime, we interact, it's always, the boys are around. You're a mom, yeah. Two boys. I mean, how old are they now?
4 and 5.
And they're so close in age too.
Yeah.
Whoa. And they're at the rambunctious stage where they can do it as a team now, right?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Because, okay, so for those piping in for the first time, Myki Angeline here, I hosted an audio-only podcast a few years back called The Mana Show, and Katie was my guest. And I actually traveled to her home because who was it that was the baby?
James.
Yes, I get their names mixed up because I don't see them enough. But you were still breastfeeding James.
Oh, yeah.
And so I remember, and because it was audio only, and this is always going to be like my favorite one because you had asked, can I just go ahead and do it? I'll hold your microphone, and I held your microphone, and you fed your boy, and we continued with the interview because that's how it works.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Us women.
Us moms get it all done.
Getting it all done all the time. Dean's in the room, and he says hi.
Who's in the room?
Dean.
Oh, hi, Dean. Dean inspired me to intermittent fast.
Oh, I probably should do that.
Well, I haven't really.
Hello, Katie.
Hi. I haven't really lost any weight, but that's completely my fault because I'm pretty sure my caloric intake of wine is so pissed off.
So you're not kidding. You actually are drinking wine.
What?
When you post on Facebook and you talk about... No, you're not kidding.
No. And the thing is it's not something I'm going to give up, obviously. In fact, if there were another me, the other me would have probably gotten a degree in viticulture at UC Davis, and I would be a winemaker. I'm actually pretty passionate about wine, but... Oh,
okay. So not just to consume it because you're angry, but you actually would like to cultivate your own brand?
I appreciate it a lot. If there was another me, I'm way too busy for that stuff, so... I'll just drink everybody else's. Anyway.
Andrew's in the room. Hello, Andrew. Thank you for joining. Andrew. So we got Dean and Andrew. Yeah, definitely. You can't see that. Look.
In the room.
See, no, look. When I pop them up, see them?
Oh, hi.
Yeah. See, I get to do the little magic for you. It's like one of the cool things about StreamYard is I can do that. So I'm just enjoying this. In fact, so that intro that I did, right, and I threw in the little clip with you.
Yeah.
So that took me
through the rock star.
Well, that took like 3 hours right before this thing because I thought, oh, you know what? I tried to do it when I had Carly, and when I played the video, and I thought, okay, I'll just say it, and it turns out it doesn't record that way. So I'm like, all right, I'll record it. But then I decided I wanted to put it together on my laptop to be higher quality than on my phone. That took a while to figure out.
No.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, and it was awesome looking.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm having too much fun actually figuring out apps and creating all these awesome intros. In fact, wait till you see the one I did for Mike King, because I've got Mike King coming on the show next Tuesday, and I created a really good one, which I extracted. I don't know if you saw, I shared his video where he did his cover of End of the World, but it was as if Slipknot were recording it, and it's very heavy.
Oh, cool.
So good. So I used that, but yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I've used your song quite a few times. I think this is the first time. I think it's the first time I used Cheming on Cocaine to actually reference you. Alrighty. So for the few of the people that might not know who you are, you want to give a little synopsis on Katie Knipp and what you're going to talk about today.
Sure. So I'm Katie Knipp. I'm an independent artist and have been for a good 20 years now. And I'm a mom. And I just want to talk about everything because there's too much to talk about. There's too much going on. And I can't wait till election season's over with because I feel like everything's coming to a peak in our country right now. And I need it to be Christmas. Anyway.
We've got like 52 days. It's going to drag like my grandmother's ass, and she's been dead since 94.
It's going to drag so.
It's going to drag.
Every morning I wake up, I try to avoid the news, and then I'm like, holy crap. I'll say what my mom said when she was trying not to curse in front of me. Son of a dirty biscuit eater.
I like that. Son of a dirty biscuit eater.
Yeah. So there's
because now I'm picturing eating dirty biscuits, and that's really gross. But that works. That works.
Yeah, she used to say that all the time when I was a kid to try not to say "son of a bitch,"
which you just said. But it's okay. It's okay though. That's not really a bad word because that word actually is in the dictionary, and it does mean female dog. So you're actually okay with that one. All right, let's dive in because we're serving all the tea. What would be the first topic, and then we'll just let it flow from there.
Let's go back to that intermittent fasting thing.
Yeah, let me throw up the banner for my new song and band, by the way. Check that out. Go ahead.
Cool. Nice. By
the pandemic purge.
So, 4 months ago, how long has it been? I don't know. I started doing this thing, and I read a lot about it, and I still do it, and my body's used to it now. But again, once the kids go to bed, after I've put James on 2 timeouts, for whatever, because he's regressing right now. And I finally sit down at like 8:30. That's when the animal crackers and Chardonnay comes out. And it's all my fault. I should be like in Olympic shape because I exercise every single day hard,
I'm jealous.
Because this entire state we're in is challenging, and I've been drinking and eating and drinking and eating, and
but you look great. But you look great.
I got some pudge on my belly. See?
No, I don't. Sure. Mm-hmm. Now she's showing skin. Yeah.
No. I do. It's there. These pants are like the one size fits all.
Oh yeah, we have to wear the comfortable pants. Absolutely. I don't think I've put on anything form-fitting since April.
Yeah, there are certain things I won't try on because I don't need that negativity in my life. We just won't. We'll just wait. Anyway, yeah. So I read that a lot of things about it, but the main thing is gut rest. So when you really give your gut a chance to rest, it can repair itself and your body can repair itself, and it actually prevents cancer and all this other stuff. So I'm thinking, okay, I'll just do that all the time because it's perfect for a busy person that doesn't have time to have breakfast. So basically, I just don't eat till noon.
So then I've just been doing that every day and I didn't know it? Because, yeah.
Well, I mean, you have to stop eating at 8.
Oh.
So I've been going till like 9. So I've been sort of cheating a little bit, but anyway.
Yeah, I'm so ahead of you on that one because I go to sleep about 2 a.m. and I probably eat till about 12:30 in the morning. But it's like popcorn because I'm watching a movie because my downtime is 11.
Okay.
When things stop. And then the cat wakes me up because she's hungry at 7, latest, usually 6:30. And then if I'm lucky, I'll get a nap. Like I won't get a nap because I've got a show shortly after you with Jillian and Elizabeth at 6. I don't know how this happened. I've like double stacked podcast episodes since I started this thing. It's kind of crazy. So I've got like 3 days where I've...
Well, your setup's amazing.
Oh,
Anybody would
thanks.
be lucky to be on this podcast.
You are so precious. Thank you. I'm having so much fun. I'm back in my element. So speaking of the whole intermittent fasting, because you said you're working out, you're doing things, because having the 2, 4, and 5, are they both in school right now or just the 5?
Oh, so the 5...
Because you're doing that at homeschooling, right?
Yeah, everybody is technically right now. So,
Yeah. I wish.
Well, here's what's going on. So, my 5-year-old is in virtual kindergarten, and we just got email correspondence that the schools are opening up sort of a hybrid model September 21st, which means they're going to divide the classes in half, so it's half the amount of people.
Okay.
They're going to make the kids wear a mask. My 5-year-old's going to have to wear a mask the whole time. They're going to be very sanitary. So I'm okay with that, knowing that all these new elements are going to be put in place, just because a 5-year-old, he needs to have, as part of his education, interaction with other people. And he's just not getting it. And so my 4-year-old has been going to a preschool, but it's more like a daycare because there's only like 9 kids in there. And they're super sanitary. Teacher wears a mask. I'm not even allowed to go past the driveway when I drop him off. Like they won't let any helpers come in or anything. And I just scrub him down when he gets home. But this new, so I haven't had a break during the day from mothering. Most people by now would have a few hours to themselves, and I still don't have that. And I thought I was going to get it like a year ago.
Oh.
And so now...
Right, because of when he started to go to school, right?
Yeah, the schedule they gave him is as soon as my 4-year-old gets out of preschool, that's when Tommy goes to his school. So there's never going to be a moment to myself for a whole nother year.
Lord.
So I'm just now coming to terms with that.
Oh.
And
because that's a lot of energy, especially from 2 boys.
Yeah, and it makes me super busy too. And again, I love my time with my boys, but I would like to have a minute to myself.
Yeah. And that minute ends up being animal crackers and wine.
Well, yeah, once they go to bed, I guess. I guess then I could be gung-ho, but I'm so dang tired by the time, because I'm go from 6 a.m.,
Because you're doing music too. You're doing interviews,
trying to squeeze it all in like I can now, but
yeah.
I can hear him in the background in the other room. But yeah, Jer actually got off work early. I am lucky that I'm not a single parent. I don't know how single parents do it. So my husband's amazing. Right now he's making sure the boys don't come barging in this room. So he got off early today, and so I'm lucky.
Aww.
I mean, it could be.
Well, then I have to say I really appreciate you doing this, because you could have had this to yourself. It could have been 2:00 in the closet with the animal crackers and the wine, but instead...
Just those are Band-Aids.
I know. Yeah, I know.
This is soul food right here, having a nice conversation with a friend.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I think that's part of also why I really love doing this again, because it's been good seeing people, even if it's this way.
Yeah.
I mean, like, shout out to Conscious Creamery, because I had them deliver me ice cream about an hour ago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I'm just trying to help out the small businesses, and it's vegan ice cream, and it's amazing.
Cool.
And so it's chilling. I took the photo, but I didn't have a chance to post it. But look, so shout out to everyone. If you're in the Sacramento area, check out Conscious Creamery. They're so dope in there. They're doing deliveries.
That's amazing.
That handmade vegan ice cream. And so it's chilling in the freezer, waiting for me to get fatter and eat it. I should be working out every day. I haven't. Well, I started to. Let's back this up. I was doing really good, and then the heat hit. So then my daughter and I couldn't go to the park, because that's the only thing we've been doing is going to the park. I haven't tried going to the beach because I didn't trust being able to go to the bathroom.
Right.
And then after that, the fires. So now the air quality is shit, and that's been a month now since it first hit.
I'm doing what I've leaned on since I gave birth, and that is high intensity interval training, 30-minute DVDs in the house. So I have 30 of them by Jillian Michaels. I have the T25 series that's from Beachbody brand.
I remember that. I remember that brand.
Yeah. What's that? P90X. So
yes.
P90X was the first of those, and so I'm doing another series like that. But it's 25 minutes or 35 minutes at the most, depending on what I'm doing, and then it gets done.
Yeah.
And I'm done by 7.
Believe me, I had every intention to do it before this broadcast, and then I spent 3 hours figuring out how to make that intro for this.
Well, a beautiful intro. Don't you hate it when crap takes too long? You're like,
well, it's also because I'm learning about stuff. Like I did an online course last week on on the branding, and then that's when I picked up on a couple of other apps. That's when I learned about using Anchor. So it's crazy that after this is done and I download it, it's going to audio stream on 9 platforms.
Cool.
I didn't have that opportunity 5 years ago when I was doing the Mana show. So, it's just all these things, and I'm excited about the time that it's taking, and I'm enjoying this, but I have to remind myself, girl, you need to work out. My flexibility is shot. It's bad. And I don't have the distraction of little ones. I have cats. They're not like dogs. One of them's old and fat. My kid, who's going to be 25, she does her own thing. She's a Scorpio. So it isn't like I don't have thank you. I don't have any excuses. I'm just not. And I'm the biggest I've ever been. But it's weights. I am sitting, and this is a really awesome camera. I appreciate that. With my Death Star shirt, I thought it was appropriate considering, the state of the world we're in at the moment.
Oh my gosh.
Right? Okay, so topic 2. We went from, you were now intermittent fasting. So I'm going to try that, by the way. You said 8 o'clock? Ooh. So that's...
You pick your window as long as 16 hours you're not eating.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh, okay. Because I'm like, I don't go to bed for another 6 hours after that. So I'm like...
Block a time that you're literally giving your gut a rest.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's not a bad idea. And you got we covered the in-school, because I wanted to ask what that was like, because I have friends that, have little ones that are doing the homeschooling, and friends that are single moms too, single dads, and that's nuts. That's just...
Praise to them. I don't know how they do it. I really don't. With Tommy's virtual kindergarten, I still have to be there. He doesn't know how to use a computer, and he doesn't know how to read yet, so I'm basically the TA for him,
Yeah.
And I don't mind. I mean... It just breaks my heart that he misses interaction. The other day he was like, "Mom, can somebody come over?" Anybody?
Bless his heart. I flashed back to the 70s and John Travolta and the boy in the plastic bubble, and I thought, if we could have just created human-size, gerbil, the tunnels and the balls, we would have the opportunity to at least see people, even if we couldn't touch them. Have you tried constructing any of that in your home?
No.
No?
And I forgot to mention, I'm also a music teacher, so I'm still teaching over FaceTime to keep everything safe in the house.
Oh, man. Do you find that...
I have voice students, I usually teach voice and piano. And I just told all my voice students, I'm like, we're switching to piano, because for me to do a proper voice lesson for someone, I need to hear all the nuances, and none of the technology out there is good. It's just not the way I give voice lessons and the things I need to hear for. So I just made them switch, and they switched.
So then how are you making that work, and the transition from not being able to be in person when it comes to teaching something like that?
Well, I got one of those tripod things to hold up my phone.
Okay.
And it's in the other room, so it sits on the piano. I'm lucky I have a grand piano, so there's a little space there to just prop it up. And then I just do it over FaceTime. And if they don't have FaceTime, I use Google Duo. And I'm not signing up new students who have asked to sign up because that's the one thing I'm not comfortable with, is giving someone that's never touched the piano lessons over a screen. I'd like to be there to see their hands and stuff.
Yeah.
Or, just, it's not something I'd want to do over a screen for a very first time player.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But your returning students, has that transition been easy for them?
Yeah, just because they expected it. Just their school is virtual, so are their piano lessons.
Okay.
So, yeah. I only have one that's pretty young, and she's been having trouble paying attention in general. So I don't think it has to do with just the fact that we're on FaceTime. I think it's that she just doesn't really want to pay attention for 30 minutes, and she's restless and stuff. So. Going through a restless phase.
Because that reminds me when we did the Girls Rock Sacramento camp all viral. Mm-hmm. And how that got pulled off was a miracle in itself. I mean,
that was challenging. I admire everybody for stepping up, and it broke my heart though. One of my piano students didn't show up to the finale. She played ukulele, but she didn't show up at all on keyboard, and I kind of sensed something wasn't right. So I contacted her mom to let her know how talented I thought she was. And I asked her permission if I could buy her a keyboard. And so I just went and bought her a keyboard and dropped it off at their house. And I hope that she's encouraged and that she's playing, but I haven't heard from them.
Wow.
I don't want to step on any toes, but
right. You can only give what you can, and just however it goes, it goes. That's the part we don't have the control over.
She was interested and liked it, and so I was like, okay, great. So once I got permission, I was like, here you go.
Yeah. We feel that pull as instructors, as teachers, as educators, right? As mentors.
Yeah. I mean, especially during this pandemic when we're all cooped up in the house, we have to have something to keep us creative and inspire us. And so if you don't have an instrument, that has to be challenging. So.
Yeah, I have to admit, that was the first time I ever taught martial arts over Zoom. And I live in an apartment complex. I live in an apartment complex. Unfortunately, I had the huge living room, and we had the hardwood floor. So I literally took my laptop and I propped it up on the cat scratcher. Like we have this 6-foot jungle gym. Yeah. And then I had like my trophies from back in the day to try to make it look somewhat. And the little ones that turned out pretty good. And then so by the time I did the teenagers, I mean, it was such excitement just to get everybody up and physically moving, and I'm shouting. I'm thinking, hopefully my neighbors aren't home, because I'm yelling key eyes and I'm yelling instruction on what to do, because I'm trying to get all energetic, even though I'm the only one in the room and I really can't see. I mean, I try to lean forward. I can't really see how they're doing. But it turned out I actually had a really good time with that. And then I was really surprised at the end, at least with the teens, when they became innovated and decided to create, like 2 of them created music videos since they couldn't do the live performances.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and one band did just an audio recording, so it felt it kind of forced them to get a little more creative instead of being able to perform live, and that was great. I mean, everyone, considering how hard it was, it felt like it felt victorious despite the struggle.
Yeah, that's how I've been feeling about. There's a PE session that the kids have too for their virtual.
Oh, do they really?
So they're dancing to YouTube videos. And it was really cute because James joined in, and I walked in the room and I saw the two of them doing yoga, and their yoga move was their butts were in the air and they were wiggling their tails,
the downward dog and wiggling their tails.
And it was so cute. I was like, oh, God bless them. They've been doing an amazing job understanding the situation, even my 4-year-old, although a lot of the times he's saying, when is this going to be over with?
Yeah.
When is the air going to be, when can we go outside?
Yeah.
They're very patient,
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'm lucky to be their mom. They're great kids.
They are. I loved them when I saw them when they were itty. They were adorable then. They really were. So now, okay, let's go a little bit deeper because you touched on some topics when we were messaging. Yeah. Did you want to? Now, you also have your guitar, or do you plan on performing?
Oh, I could do a song, yeah. I was going to do it.
Okay, just thought I'd ask.
But
I wasn't sure if you were just like for propping purposes or you were going to play.
There's wires in the way, but at some point I'll take them off and I'll play something, yeah.
Okay, cool. So next subject. Go ahead.
Oh, you want me to lead?
Well, wherever you're comfortable. I'm not trying to put you on the spot.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to focus on my law of attraction rules here because I don't want to attract negativity necessarily, but...
Okay. How about just what we're doing is releasing it into the universe and getting rid of it?
I really hope...
Not the universe, but...
I really hope those that thought Trump was a great idea, even though that blew my mind the first time.
Yeah.
I really hope this time around they can take a look at things and say, maybe that wasn't such a good idea. Maybe I will change my vote. Because there
are people that have done that. There are people that have done that.
Yeah, I know someone who's doing that, and I highly respect him for making that change. But yeah, I've never been more angry in my life, and it's also justifiable. I mean, nobody should be praising Kyle. Nobody should be making excuses. Can you imagine if Kyle was black and he showed up to a protest with an...
Kyle Rittenhouse? We're talking about Kyle Rittenhouse. For those who are tuning in and have no idea what we're talking about, we're talking about Kyle Rittenhouse.
I don't like saying his full name because I just can't...
No, he needs it. He needs it because this is not going to be a good platform for him. He's 15, correct, wasn't he? I know he was underage, 17, 15. Okay. 14, even better. His parents are the ones who drove him over the border, drove him 20 miles.
Mommy drove him. Mommy
so that he could take his AR-15 and go hunting.
Mommy drove him and raised him the way she raised him. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I'm really tired of everybody worshiping these gunslingers, and I'm at a point where, and then there's the lack of humanity, basic respect for human lives. It's so funny because you have all these people that are calling themselves like super pro-life Christian, blah, blah, blah. And that's the flag they keep waving to support somebody like the orange guy. I can't even say his name either because...
Commander and Thief?
Yeah.
That's what I refer to him as.
Twitler, maybe?
Did you say Twitler? Oh my God. Twitler because he's a Twitter. Oh my God, that's amazing. By the way, Jessica says hi.
Hi. I didn't... Jessica, you're always so beautiful, by the way. Side note. Anyway.
True story. Jessica is always absolutely gorgeous. Moving on.
Yeah, I'm just blindsided every day. There's always something new and horrific, and I'm thinking right now, we've got the death toll at about 200,000.
Yeah.
And
infection in the millions. There's 6 million, I think, now.
And then there's still all these numbers. There's the 17,000 people that were in an NFL game the other night. Somehow the NFL gets an audience, and then you hear all this booing during a moment of silence for racial equality. And I'm like...
Actually, do we hear it, or did the news just go ahead and focus on that?
No, people heard it that were watching TV.
Oh, okay, so the game was televised, because I had no idea.
Oh, yeah, the game was televised, yeah. So
I guess it would be, right? Why else would they not do it?
I get that it's, well, I can't say it's because of an entire state, because I have friends in that same state that are wonderful people. But yeah, you don't boo during a moment of silence.
No.
And all those people are going to go to the polls and still support that guy.
And I think the people and it's not even a lot of people, understand too, it's not a lot of people that are shouting this horrible stuff. It's literally not a lot of people compared to the amount of people who are either in support. I'm getting feedback. Do you have me on speaker on your?
No.
Oh, okay. Maybe is that me?
I'm not hearing anything.
Okay, good. Okay, I just want to make sure I wasn't, maybe it was me. So it's very little the amount of people. We're just focusing, super hyper focusing. And honestly, I've been at this for so long, since the very beginning, that they just want to shout to be heard. Mm-hmm. I think I think they're just on autopilot to want to be mad. And it's those same 30 people that'll sit there and tweet or Facebook or go on the live and do all this stuff because they're triggered and they want to trigger you. And my only hope is, because we could take it back. When the DNC did their thing, I don't even want to focus on the RNC, but when the DNC did their thing, granted, I recognize that there were things they left out. There were things that weren't touched on, and I get that. But considering the state that we're in and the direction they went with it, I, for one, appreciated being able to see more people who could voice how they felt about things, and the different the different people that they talked with and the subjects that they touched. I think for the first time in a while, I actually felt a camaraderie that things had a chance to get better in that versus it's a rally and we're staring at someone on stage, and there's in a normal situation to be like hundreds of thousands of people, right? It felt more personal to be able to see them looking into the camera and talking to me.
Yeah.
And plus it was just done so well. I'm looking at it from all angles. It was seamless. The angles, the capture, it just went, and it was, I wanted to watch it every night. I was curious to see what they were going to do with it. But I think what I'm feeling from him, he's really grasping at straws really bad. And he's making key mistakes, whereas in the beginning, people excused it, but now so many people have backed away from him that supported him before. He's lost billionaire backers. He's fired so many people. He's been told no by Supreme Court justice. He's been told no by generals in the military. He's been turned down left and right on things that he thought he could get away with as time has gone on.
Some of all of the previous Republican presidents, actually, I like seeing them voice their opinions about not supporting him too. That's encouraging to me because, it's a nightmare.
But I think in the end, the hardest thing is, and I've talked with people that I'm related to and friends that I think are brilliant people, and for some reason, they won't come out and say that they support him, but they will definitely try to shine light on the bad on everyone else.
Right.
And I don't understand that, not in the least bit.
I have a very close family member that does not have the same views, and it's very heartbreaking for me, just heartbreaking, because it's now it's a point of just, I mean, look at his reaction to the fires, throwing the initial tantrums every year of basically we didn't vote for him or something. I don't know. We didn't rake our floor. I don't know. Okay,
it's people are almost feeling like he wants these to happen and not trying to deploy things in hopes of cleaning out those that wouldn't vote for him. But of course, I don't think that would be real because you can't control that.
Any of us,
no,
we need help.
No.
President's supposed to help people dying. That's a basic thing, right?
I think
Don't let a bunch of people die.
I think the latest thing that had happened when it bust out that he knew, the whole Bob Woodward interview, and you have to take it with a grain of salt. You're going to look up at all your sources of wherever you can find out what's going on with it. But in the end, he gave this guy 18 interviews. Dumb. But that's his ego talking. It's not even that he's not like he's literally dumb, but it's his ego thinking nothing will happen, right? And the fact that he did know, and then when you go back, I thought he probably didn't realize when he recorded these in February that he was going to be so scrutinized on everything he said in video form, in audio form, that it was going to come back and bite him in the ass. I think he didn't realize that, because when you go back and then you play all the points up to it and you realize when he talked about it being a hoax, and he talked about it being just the flu, and he talked about it going away by April, and he talked about it, we only have 5, and he already knew in the back of his mind it was going to be bad. And then he had all these open rallies and he had all these things. So when he said to Bob that he thought it was bad, did he really believe it was bad? I don't even know. Part of me, I don't want to ever have an opportunity to get inside that man's head. I think I would just implode and die. But my brain went there because I thought, did he just say that to sound important? Because why would you tell somebody that you know it's being recorded, you think something is a completely horrible behind camera, but then go out and tell everybody it's not? What is your game plan and what is your end goal? Let's take out any attitude I might have about the man. I'm honestly trying to figure out, are you that demented and you really need to be put in the loony bin? Because that makes no sense. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, liberal, no party. Makes no sense as a human being.
Too much of the stuff has made no sense.
Yeah. And I'm sitting here, I'm not letting it absorb in, because you're right. I mean, right now, as of today, I saw the reports. Oregon has the worst air quality of any major city in the entire world right now. The entire world. That's nuts. And then the fact that the gender reveal party that went out of control. Mm-hmm. At what point do you have the freedom to do whatever you want? Mm-hmm. And then, so what's going to happen now? I'm not even kidding. Now that this has created so much damage, so much, like in the millions going into billion, for one gender reveal party, are we going to now change laws either on the party, or are we going to change laws on what you and I as an individual can purchase? Mm-hmm. Like, what's going to happen now? Because someone's got to pay, in a sense, however that means, right? Yeah. So that blows my mind. I mean, how did people not think that explosives and dry grass was going to go bad?
The sad thing about the state we're in is it just seems like I'm sure, first of all, racism has always existed. Lack of care for humanity has always existed. Mm-hmm. But the person in charge, I feel, has given them such an elevated platform to be quite vocal about it, that they're like gathering up more of those people, and then they're so blinded that they're doing things like they did last Sunday night in Sacramento.
I was going to bring that up too, yeah. He gave them the hall pass. Mad.
I'm just so mad. And then here's my question, and maybe you can answer this.
Okay.
If they got a permit for 1,000 people, mm-hmm. whose job is it to monitor the numbers and then break it up and unplug everything and shut it down? The cops? I don't know. If
Here's
anybody knows,
my question, because I've been at the protest. I've been at the protest in the beginning of Black Lives Matter when they first hit here in Sacramento. I was even doing my own footage of stuff that I have in the beginning on my Instagram.
Yeah, I remember that.
It wasn't until they started going in the evening, and I personally, I didn't feel safe. I didn't want to leave my daughter by myself because where we live right now, we live in an area of Rancho Cordova where every night it was M80 fireworks and guns going off every night for a month, because it was a month before 4th of July. And right, and it's just us living on the bottom floor. So, and not knowing the neighborhood, I'm trained, I'm prepared, I'm ready to take anyone out, no problem. And I'll do it with my doce pata sticks, and I'll do it with my hands, and I'll disarm you and take your gun. I'm going to stop because I've gone certain directions with this, and I can't say this on this platform, but I might tell you in private the things I already know that I could do to people. Yeah. So I stopped going, and then I started watching Black Zebra Productions did this the coverage of the raw and real and showing what was going on. So my question is, when I bring all this up, is the rubber bullets and the tear gas, which is illegal, and the physical force that was not only applied to protesters who were not being violent, who were not rioting, who were not destruction of property. These are just people walking and shouting and being angry, and the press. And that's called a protest. Supposedly what happened this last Sunday was a protest.
Right, they booked it as a...
Yeah.
They booked it as a...
On a Sunday, on a holiday week, when they knew nobody important was going to actually be at the Capitol. Let's start with that. So I don't know who you think you're shouting to, because no one's watching, because they're all home, because it's a 3-day weekend and it's a Sunday. So we all know that they just made the excuse to have an outdoor church concert. We know this. My question is how did they get away with that? And that begs to differ, or begs to wonder the question to be answered: how racist is Sacramento? As in the powers that be that are in charge.
Oh, that gave them a...
Because in May, they did the same thing twice when they were mad about, remember when we first were told we couldn't go to restaurants and we couldn't get our hair cut? They were on those same steps on a Sunday. They were hosting outdoor haircuts. They had live music. I remember I was still driving left, and I drove by the Capitol that morning, and I saw 12 porta potties set up. So the city gave them porta potties. They had the merch tents to sell MAGA gear. They had lawn chairs, and they're out with their kids, and that was their protest in the first one in May. Why is that okay? We assemble to say we're really tired of cops murdering people, specifically people of color, because they do murder other people. I do know someone personally who lost their husband right before Stephon Clark. He was murdered by cops in front of his house, in front of his daughters, in front of his wife in Roseville, and he's white. So I know that they do it to other, but predominantly it is to black people. So when we're out there saying that that's what we're tired of happening, we get shunned. But when we're out here praising Jesus with white people, that's cool. I don't get that.
It's a bummer. Yeah. Nobody wants black people protesting, basically. Or black
nobody wants equality with women and people of color in charge of anything.
Yeah, so I hope that changes soon. And I do know of some cops and stuff that are good people and aren't murderers.
Mm-hmm.
And
I do too.
There's one that actually, like, I think he was new to the job even, and his first job is basically he had a bunch of rocks thrown at him at the protest, and I'm like, that's really shitty. Like, you get this new job and you're all pumped and you're like, everybody's I mean, there's so many stories that you can't.
Okay, but let's take that one instance. Let's take that one instance. That's your friend. When he got into that job.
Well, it's a friend of a friend.
When he got into that job, do you think he knew what he was getting into on a whole as the police department and how people feel about them? Or do you think he went into completely blind thinking it was going to be
Who knows?
Roses and awesome?
I don't know.
Because they weren't attacking him as a single person.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, for instance, because, and you and I working in the music industry, what frustrates us about Sunday is that the music industry and, okay, so live performances and live theater, Broadway, are the last to be implemented into normalcy again and have been hit and been hit the hardest. So here you are as an artist, not able to make money following your career. And then you look on Sunday, and that was a concert. I saw the videos. They had drones. This professional guy out of Reading, who's a professional pastor who creates these videos, who's a Trump supporter, and you hear them chanting, they would gladly die for Jesus. So then it sounded like a cult. But they're up here performing and having a concert. And here you are, Katie Knipp, unable to continue with your career and follow your dreams and put food on the table for your boys in the thing that you love. You're having to teach your music students via this, which means now you went from vocal to the piano, and then not taking new students, which hits your bottom line and hits your pocket and hits your children. You're doing all the things you're supposed to do, and then you're looking at these people performing anyway. And you're like, really?
All the nightclubs.
Yeah. That was like a straw that broke the camel's back for you.
Yeah. Well, so many things in the last 2 weeks, with the praise Kyle got, that just sent me the money he got.
I know that upset you, but understand that he got pennies compared to what Jacob got. Jacob got it in the millions. And you knew he was going to get money. You knew Kyle was going to get money.
Well, I guess I didn't expect to see, upwards of 6,000 people donating money to somebody like that.
Why not?
It just seems like a lot of people to give money to somebody like that.
To me, that's a low number. I would think every racist person, because when I watched the live of when Black Zebra were up in Placerville, I mean, we all know the history of Placerville, but it wasn't until that happened, and then I talked with folks who have lived there and still live there, and I didn't realize how currently racist it still is. That's why
County in general.
Yeah. So that's why 6,000 people donated. That's a low number to me, considering how racist. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I understood you being upset, but he didn't get a whole lot out of it compared to the support that Jacob got.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it has been disappointing to see how Placer County has been in regards to matters of the protests and things. Like, I guess I didn't get to go to it, but my allies in Black Lives Matter for Placer County went to a Black Lives Matter protest in Lincoln. And I guess they compared Lincoln to Alabama in the 50s. They had to make a circle around this gentleman to protect him because there were all these Trump-loving guys just being super, super aggressive, that they were worried for their safety, and they weren't being aggressive. And it's such an ugly time right now that it just breaks my heart, and then, I had a live stream concert I was going to book for putting on the Can't Stop the Blues show. We were going to record it. And so I had everyone in my band I had contacted, but I still hadn't heard from one. And I assume he was always the one who was the most chill and happy-go-lucky. And when I finally heard from him, he said, I'm not emotionally ready to play right now, knowing there's no end in sight and not really knowing when our next real gig is. Wow. He's like, I haven't played in 2 months. And it was the complete opposite of what I thought I would hear. I broke down when I heard that from him.
Yeah.
Because, I want so much to give to my team, like everything I can possibly give. I want them to be happy. I want them to be inspired. I have this whole like law of attraction thing where, you know, I want to be able to take these people, including my family, of course, all over the world and just give them these great experiences. And to hear him deflated was a shock. And it's been actually one of the harder things for me to hear, you know, because it's more personal, I guess.
It is. It's hard. You know, the one thing, in going with the pandemic, how things shut down, it really taught us in America the things that are real, the things that are essential, and I'm talking like economy-wise, because the money, you know, if we're having the richest economy, these are examples I heard, because I would listen to NPR every morning when I was still driving Lyft before I stopped driving, and, you know, a company like Boeing, how can they go completely bankrupt in a month? Because they're only as rich as the money we're pouring into it, right? Nothing, it seems like your worth is only as much as people are spending on you, and that right there is the music industry.
Yeah.
Because the music industry thrives on fans who spend money. You know, and any other conversation prior to COVID has been how things progress, how are artists making money now with this digital age and things being lit. I mean, it wasn't that long ago when people were, you know, artists were getting attorneys and suing Napster because all of a sudden their music was being pirated easily. Whereas now artists don't really make money on the singles as much as they're making money surrounding around it. I mean, the live concerts, that's why the t-shirts are $50, and that's why you know, the pyrotechs that, you know, and the visuals, the artist needs to give you something you would only see live that you can't get on a video or on a stream, you know, and all these things of being innovative and being a hustler and figuring it out. COVID put that to a complete stop, and now it's this, which a lot of artists have figured out, but all of us are getting so, I don't know about you, but the first time I started doing Zoom stuff, I didn't realize how exhausting that is. And now I understand, for someone like you, who is an artist trying to do your music on this platform, who is also doing instruction on this platform, who has a son that's in school on this platform, you are staring at this and screens and streams for hours every day. That in itself is daunting. So it's like, as a community, this is where, you know, we have to pull together. And for you, you had to really rein it in and hyper focus on your band, which is your music family, because that, like you just described, I mean, I felt you hurt when you described it the way that you did, because you didn't think it would have made somebody in like that crumble, knowing, when is this ever going to end? Right?
Yeah, I mean, I've had some talks with other team members, but I hadn't heard anything from him like that until now. So yeah, it's just hard. I just want so much to take everybody's pain away and not add to it. I tried so hard not to share stuff on Facebook that infuriates me, you know, because I get enough of it. I go in to try to promote a music thing, and I see all this stuff, and I'm like, God, I'm so tired.
Yeah. It's really hard, isn't it? It's hard to try to be that light for others when you're having a hard time finding your own light.
Right.
It's hard. Yeah. Lord knows I went off on the deep end of whatever, and I lost a lot of people being very woke and being very active and being angry and being assertive, and I honestly didn't feel, I mean, before I got the podcast back up, it was just like you, there was so much happening either in my feed or on TV or talking to people, because as a Lyft driver, I was hearing it firsthand. I mean, understand that I was driving in San Francisco predominantly. So when all this went down, before the shutdown happened, and I was still driving out there before the money really stopped, and I just stopped because I didn't know if I would be trapped in San Francisco. I thought, oh my gosh, what if they shut the bridges down? Like when I went into that Trader Joe's that first time, and it was like watching I Am Legend with all of the bins empty, people clamoring at the crates and just hoarding food, and you can feel the energy of this being scared, the anxiety. And I'm having passengers that I'm picking up to and from the airport, which at first I didn't know if I wanted to do that yet, because it was before masks were mandated and all that. And I remember asking people, because understand, San Francisco is a huge huge hub of people coming in and out of the country, not just in and out of the city and in and out of the state. Right. SFO is huge on international travel, huge. And I would ask people. I wanted to make sure you saw that so that you see the love. Yeah, and there's another one, Joshua, his hello from Poway. What up? And I would ask people, did they screen you? Nope. I'm hearing firsthand from passengers that are traveling in from other countries. No screening, no put into quarantine. People are coming from China. People are coming from Asia. People are coming from Italy. People are coming from England. People are coming from they're coming from the states where we had the first case. And I thought, they didn't screen you? Like check temperature, put you in a quarantine? Nothing. And then I've got Asian passengers who are not even Chinese. They're Korean. They're from Thailand. But they're getting physically and verbally abused because when someone's online saying that it's the China virus.
Oh, it's brutal.
So I'm listening to it firsthand. I'm not just following feeds and looking up and watching, other BBC or Sky or whatever. I'm talking to people. Yeah. And I'm finding out firsthand, So knowing how quickly this thing spread, my opinion is, and I know he tried to brag that he'd shut down China, and he didn't. He just stopped Chinese people. He let Americans back in. But what should have happened here, in my opinion, now that we see where it's gone, they should have stopped state travel. No one should have been able to cross borders, period. And within maybe counties or cities have checkpoints. And we didn't do that. We just have been running rampantly here in America, in the United States, right? State to state. I took him from here to fly to Washington, and this was in May. And his family was telling me his family was worried because Washington was the first case supposedly that we got. But he didn't want to be here. He wanted to be with his girlfriend who was living there. His family's worried that he was going to go there and catch it. And I go, well, what if you have it and you're bringing it? And he stopped. I didn't think of that. You think I have it? I go, you could. We didn't. This is May. Remember, this is May. We're month 2. We're still learning about this damn virus. I said, supposedly there's a 2-week dormant period. I could have it. And until we get tested, we don't really know. So what if you bring it to Washington? What if you already just gave it, and it was an honest, candid comment. Neither of us were angry. It was like, what if? And if it travels that easily, why are we in America, able to travel state to state, county to county, city to city, and no checks? And now look at where we're at, all these numbers. And the numbers that hit, coming back to music and Broadway and things shut down. I have a friend she lives in Boston and she works in theater, and it's been decimating what's not happening. Shows not being produced. People that put in weeks and hours and of the training set for all of that to just go, over precautions that should have been taken and weren't. And it's not even a coulda, shoulda, woulda. There was a plan in place and it got ignored and it got scrapped. Yeah. And that's a fact.
By the way, is Lyft just gone now?
Oh, no, Lyft is there.
I heard that they somehow...
Thank you, Joshua. He loves our voices. Yeah. No, Lyft is still around. Oh, you mean because of Prop 22 or because of the AB5? Go ahead.
I thought that Lyft and Uber were not able to do business in California or something random.
They were able to put that off until, I think, Election Day. That's why they're pushing Prop 22. Oh. Because they were trying to make them all of us be employees. But that kind of a switch, even if they did it, can't happen overnight because of the way that it's set up. I used to stop driving by the end of June because I just don't trust people in Sacramento. Yeah. I mean, look at me. I'm not white. I don't look straight because I'm not. But I mean...
You have the best haircut, by the way.
Thanks. In San Francisco it was much more accepting, but here, this is the thing. I don't want to get into a situation where I have somebody mad at me because I'm telling them they have to wear a mask.
Right.
And then they decide to get into a physical confrontation with me over it.
Yeah.
Not that I can't...
You'll mess them up.
Well, not that I can't defend myself, but now I put myself in more harm's way of catching this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And right. My daughter and I, we've stayed home. This is why this is makeup. I'm so pale from not seeing the sun and my pandemic pudge and lack of flexibility, which I promise. I told myself I was going to get a little bit of a workout in before the next podcast later at 6. I'm not that person I was 6 months ago because of everything that has happened. And I'm doing, and I'm not complaining and bitching because others aren't. Right. I'm doing it because I know this the only thing we have control of. When I would hear people complain, and this was in the car too, you don't even know what this is. This is probably just the flu. Those numbers, they're lying. I've seen hospitals completely empty. I'm thinking, okay, good. You should be happy that your hospital in Carmichael isn't overflowing with people with COVID. Right. Perhaps it's because they either controlled it in your city or they're keeping it open in case there's an overflow in another. But your mind won't go that direction because all you can think is how you can't go to Burger King and get your Whopper. And when I talk to people, I go, okay, fine. The government's lying about the numbers. What number works for you? If it's not 200,000 deaths, would it be okay if it were 50? Do you believe it would be 50,000? Do you think the number is 0? Either way, the only thing you and I had control over, we fucked up. And that was stay home, wash your hands, keep your mouths covered, and don't touch people. It's hard to do psychologically, but it's the easiest thing we all had control over, and America couldn't get their shit together. Yeah. That's what I learned. Funny. I learned that about my country.
The lack of humanity right now is so glaringly disappointing, and that's where I'm at. I'm like.
So then, what do people like you and I do to change that, though? But what do people like you and I do to change that?
Well,
because we have that power.
Yeah. So, obviously, set a good example. Try not to be too angry because angry can swallow us whole.
Yes. We don't want to get consumed.
It really almost has swallowed me completely whole. So my whole thing are, I'm Christian, by the way. I'm Episcopalian. I pray. I'm just not Republican Christian. Know what I'm saying? Anyway, whatever that is, they've created this thing where they don't care about people. Anyway, I just pissed off a ton of people. That's okay. So I'm meditating. I'm praying. I'm trying to. It's funny. Someone said, "Oh, you have a lot of material to write about now," and it's funny. I actually, because it'll pull me into a deeper, darker, negative space, I actually always write the opposite of what I'm feeling.
Okay.
So I don't write about current stuff because I'll die. I'll just die. It's just where it's a self-protection mode. So
have you written anything in reflection of what's been happening?
No.
Okay.
No.
Do you even have time?
Yes.
Okay, good.
In fact, I have been writing the next album, but none of it's political. I've never really been a political writer, and I usually like to write stories. I like to write fiction, and a lot of times the writing in itself is an escape from what's actually going on. So there have been incidents in my life that I couldn't write about for over a decade, like when I witnessed a suicide on my 21st birthday. I didn't write a song and put it out on a record until 2 years ago.
Wow.
About that incident, specifically with details and everything. It took me over a decade.
Wow.
Wow. Because I want to live. And I swear, I know my limits of absorbing too much, focusing on too much.
And that's the key, isn't it? Knowing your limits, because we talked about this the other day, because yesterday, it's Suicide Prevention Month, but yesterday was the specific day in noticing of it. And if COVID has really brought that out very strong for those who either have contemplated it, who haven't before, but all of a sudden want to, who've carried it out.
Yeah.
Is that something? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts are call your friends, even the ones that seem strong. basically. Make sure everybody has the help they need and the shoulder they need to lean on. You know, don't assume that just because online they look all happy and everything, that everything's going well. In fact, one of my friends from high school was just opening up about how her abusive husband used to force her to post positive stuff about him on social media.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That must have been hard.
Stuff like that. Just never really believe what's on your screen all the time. You know, always check in on people. You know?
That must have been hard to learn that, because you probably went back in your head thinking of the things you've seen posted and wondered what was really happening behind the scenes.
Yeah.
You know? Wow. That's the other thing they brought up, was how with people being stuck inside, it was forcing those that are in violent situations or violent households, whether it's relationships, children, that they didn't have that proper outlet. I tell you, hopefully America and those in charge and the rest of us, all of us collectively, have learned how to deal with this going forward, should this ever happen again. I realize we're not out of the woods, but I tell you, one of the things I took for granted, and a lot of us did, being here in the United States, was going to a store and not having anything I could think of in the top of my head that I wanted to pick up be there. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, and I'm not talking the staples, like when people were hoarding the paper products, or I would go to Winco and like flour bins and cornmeal bins and rice bins, potatoes are gone, right? People are consuming them quicker than they can be made. Why? Because this is the world we build, is that we create product on demand. Anyone who's worked in retail, anyone who's worked in the food industry, you understand that that's how that works. Only so many people will be on shift to work if the demand is there. Only so much food is being prepped if it's being purchased. But when all of a sudden the entire world stops and buys everything at the same time, this is why it runs out. When people can't work, this is why factories shut down and they can't be reproduced. You know, when you're going through a drive-through and then certain things are off the menu, they don't know when they're going to get them. For instance, for me, I was renting a car as a Lyft driver for 3 years, and I finally purchased a vehicle. And my thought process when I went into buying a car was, are the parts already here? Because we've already have all these issues with China because of Trump and the tariff situation and import and export. I need to research a reliable vehicle that's in my price range, that the parts and everything are here should something happen.
Right.
I had to. So all of a sudden, I'm a Chevy girl, by the way, which I never thought would happen. I own a Chevy Cruze. I've owned Hondas like my whole life, you know, and
Honda, yeah,
Hondas and stick shift, like majority of my driving years. And so, but and the cool thing about when you're renting the cars are, you get to try out a lot of cars, because you drive so many miles, you get another car. And so I tried out everything from Nissans to Camrys. I don't know why they put my ass in a Camry. Girl, I am 4'11". Do you know how far up I had to have my seat? Anyone sitting behind me, it was first class. Like Dean could sit behind me and have all the leg room he desired. Yeah, I drove a Camry like twice. That was ridiculous. But I've had Nissan Altimas, Camrys. I did Mazda 3s. So when I got to the Chevy Cruze, I was really pleasantly surprised at the handling and the speed on it for being a 4-cylinder turbo, and the gas mileage on it. And it's a more affordable vehicle compared to even Hyundais. And I was looking at Hyundais and like the Elantras, and I was looking at, what was the other car? Sonata, Kias. Because I was looking at something reliable where the parts were here and whatever, but those are expensive compared to a Chevy. And I already drove a Chevy for like 6 months, so I already knew. So I ended up just getting into that. And these are the things we now have to think about. Mm-hmm. Even to this day, I can go to the store. Well, unfortunately, I've been giving Jeff Bezos all my money, and I've been doing a lot of Amazon shopping. And even then, people sometimes are waiting weeks to months to get things because of the supply, right? So that taught us, man, our first world privileges living, out the effing door. Just because we were able to get it for so long doesn't mean we deserved it.
Yeah.
And you got those people throwing those fits. Karen says she's 4'11", but she'll be 5 foot in December. Wait a minute, hold on. So Karen's being...
Karen's my cousin.
Oh, is Karen 5? Why is Karen going to grow a whole nother inch in December?
No, she's...
I'm totally joking.
Second cousin. Anyway. Sorry, I'm very literal sometimes. I'm like, no, she's not.
No, she's not. Did you want to do a song? Would you like to do a song?
Yeah, in fact, because we've been talking about all this dark stuff, I'll do a love song.
Ooh. Do that love song, Katie.
I think that I have to take my headphones off. Can I?
Yeah.
Where's my mic? Is it on my lap? I don't know anything. Is my mic on?
No, you're good. I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Oh, I can't see you now. Okay. This is off the Midnight Mind album, by the way. I have 5 albums out. I'm working on my 6th album, but I need $20,000 for that record. So if anybody out there knows anyone with $20,000, I will put it to great use making a killer Zilla record. Anyway, this is called Get in My Life. It's a demanding love song. Say you love me, and I'll be good to you. Get in my life and I'll take care of you. Say you want me. Oh, and I can't satisfy. If you know what's good for your baby, get in my life. You'll never leave. I'll be your partner in crime. If you know what's good for your baby, get in my life. If you know what's good for your baby, you gotta get in my life.
Boom, yeah. What? Wow. That was shushy.
Thanks.
That was so shushy. Yeah, you know what? In wrapping this up, I'm glad you ended on the love song.
Gotta do it.
And so then what can we tell our audience? How to keep ourselves, besides this one here, drinking water, drink a lot of water.
Drink water. Exercise is seriously a huge depression eliminator. Even, you know, it's not just a weight loss thing. It's a
endorphins thing.
So much.
Yeah.
Be kind. Try not to get Try not to get on fights online. You know.
Be kind to yourself. Definitely be kind to yourself.
Know your limits. Like, you know, I know my limits. I know what sets me off, and I know when to take a break. Actually, take breaks from social media too. Even if it's just one day. It's surprising how often we check our phones, you know, but anywhere from like 1 to 4 days is a nice break.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine putting that challenge out into the world and who could actually not do that? 4 days is a long time to not know what's happening every minute of every day.
Well, especially as a business owner, here's my problem is I'm very lucky I have radio folks all over the world that play me and they'll tag me on their station. And I feel it's my duty to share their stuff and thank them. So it's hard for me to take a break because I really do spend a lot of time thanking people. And side note, that's another thing to do is say thank you more often. I've actually complimented a couple of local artists, and there's been no response back. And I'm like, you're not famous, dude. You're like, you need to acknowledge. You need to acknowledge, and you need to be more grateful. You need to feel the gratitude, but you also need to express it.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky I find myself expressing that a lot lately. And thank you to all those who have purchased, streamed, downloaded the new single Chamomile and Cocaine, because that is all that money is going to the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. And I'm just doing it at least through the end of the year. It was just going to be the summer, but now I'm so mad. So much work has to be done that I'm just making the monthly donations of whatever comes in.
Good for you.
Profit-wise. Well, thank you, Myki. I know you bought it, so.
Of course I did, and I've been using it so much. It's such a good song. I really wasn't. How about? Did I spell that right? I was going to put that up here so people know the name of that. The name of it's so. Okay, share with us before we end this, and on this positive note of how you came up with the name Chamomile and Cocaine.
Yeah, it's just an analogy of describing myself because the lyrics are, "I'm your chamomile and cocaine," in that I'm going to make you feel all the things, you know. So
okay.
It's really just a description. It's funny how some people think I'm selling drugs. I'm not.
Oh, I definitely don't think that.
I've never done coke in my life, ever. Okay.
I like, yeah.
Not my bag. But
it definitely bounces together really well.
Thanks.
Like the nuance of, for sure.
So yeah, I recently got my music on Pandora. So if anybody out there uses Pandora, please follow me there. Obviously.
Congratulations again.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Follow me on Spotify. Buy my stuff off Bandcamp, because Bandcamp you can name your price. So you don't have to just pay $1 for the single. You could pay $1 million.
$1 million. You know, and that's the thing.
20,000, and that'll pay for the next one.
And that's it too. Use your money wisely for those of us who are still pinching the pennies, you know, and those that are trying to survive. This is resorted for me to go back to supporting local everything. Like I said, like I bought your music, I bought ice cream from Conscious Creamery. I'm getting food from Good Vegan Cafe here in Sacramento. They're delivering vegan spaghetti with the slaw. I'm getting that tomorrow. So it's all the things where your dollar is your vote. And when you can support somebody local, it goes directly to them and it helps them out, because so many small businesses have been shunned from the PPP. So they've been struggling, or they've had to close their doors. We've had so many venues here in Sacramento that have had to close their doors. So that's why the Shelter Fest, I had Carly Duhane on last time.
That's great.
But it's the community coming together and raising money to kind of help out the venues, because they're the ones that house us to go and see artists like you perform. So it's, you know, it just comes down to that really when you think about it. But I really enjoyed having you on the show.
Thanks for having me. And my next live stream, guys, is going to be for the Sophia. It's going to be on October 2nd, I believe. That's a Friday night. So I'll be advertising that.
All your socials are on your website, and they can follow you on all those, right?
Yeah,
perfect.
Absolutely.
So please do that, guy. Through her website, follow her on her socials, learn about her live streams, support where we can, and you know, every day that we wake up, you and I, all of us, we determine how our day will go. We really do.
Yes.
So let's do it. Let's all do our best to manifest
positivity.
A better future in 52 days.
Seriously.
Hopefully there'll be a weenie roast, and it'll involve Cheetos and it'll be glorious.
Yeah.
I love you, girl.
Love you too, Myki.
Thank you so much, honey. You have a good one.
You too.